Retro. Retro.
G'day everyone, welcome back to the late afternoon glass off. As always, my name's Finn. I'm joined here by my good friend Zach Whiteman. Zach, you're reporting to us from a Melbourne car park. What's going on?
I am today, just flew down. I'm about 200 metres away from Urban Surf. We're down here for the QS 3000 Phillip Island comp. Got some Billabong athletes for the next week or so. So yeah, just down here hanging out with the crew.
Yeah.
Should be fun.
Beautiful. Look, you've jumped on the plane this morning. You've got about 100 surfboards with you. How did it all go? Getting through the airport, getting your hire car. What did they give you? What car did they give you?
Yeah, getting through the airport was okay. If it was something like if you got dropped off ages away or something like that, I would be in all sorts. And I didn't even know, but you got to fucking pay for trolleys nowadays. I feel like that's just a given thing that airport should just go, hey, look, borrow one of these. But you got to pay $5 for a trolley.
No way.
So everyone's staring at me. I'll try and get the camera up there, but I've got a board bag from JS for Bronson and Varun Tanjung, and I think there's 7 in there or something like that. And then I've got my 2, and because I brought a backpack, all my clothes are in mine. I got soft roof racks in mine, so like mine was 21 and theirs was 30, and my backpack's 11. So mate, I've just been Arnold Schwarzeneggering through the airport, but obviously didn't look as gracious as Arnold. I looked like a spangly kid struggling, but got to the hire car place and they decked me out with a brand new Toyota Land Cruiser 300 series. So I'm a bit of a car geek if anyone knows me personally. So when she said a Land Cruiser, I was like, yeah, it'll be a Prado because I booked a Prado. And then I walked outside and there she is, big girl 300 series. Off to a really good start. I started it and it said, please see your local dealer, engine fault. So well done, Toyota. Ripping so far. But other than that, I went forward and I said to old mate, I was like, is that sweet? And he's like, mate, you'll be right. And I was like, sweet as. So here we are.
And you're here. And you got a session booked in for this morning, is that right?
I do. I'm going to lose my wave pool virginity. I got my floaties. I've booked advanced left and advanced barrel left. And it was funny, I saw you yesterday. No one books the left, all the rights are booked out. So it just goes to show there's more fucking regular footers like you blokes standing the wrong way in the world than there is goofy footers. So yeah, last minute call up. Thanks, Adam Robbo. We're down here now and there's a bunch of QS surfers here today. I think Tully Wiley, Mikey Madonna, a few others. I saw Calbo Warren here yesterday or something. So it seems like this is the place to be to go get your reps in for a comp.
Beautiful. As we said last time as well, guys, chuck us a follow on Instagram at the Largo Podcast, TikTok, subscribe, like, comment on YouTube, as well. It all helps. We're going to go straight into Surfer of the Week, which was a new segment last week. It actually did pretty good for us. We had Lobby and Jack Robbo, and Robbo reposted it, which was pretty sick.
Yeah, we jumped on the back of his Instagram bandwagon pretty hard there, didn't we? Fucking cha-ching.
100%. We had 38,000 views on it. So I think our most before that was 3. So we've done pretty well. We have the same Surfer of the Week this week. Do you want to tell people who it is?
Yeah, there you go. You asked me to say his name first. Fucking hell. I don't even know how to say it. It's Caiu. So that could be, I feel like if he's Brazilian, it could be in Portuguese, like a Chao or fuck, I don't even know.
It's not that. That's just when I did the notes, I just scribbled it in there, how I thought it might have been spelt. So
Gotcha.
I think it's Cow or Caio or Cow Costa.
It can't be Cow. Let's just go with Caio, and if Caio Belly fucking gets angry, then who cares? But yeah, Cow, Caio, whatever his name, Costa. We put up a poll earlier this week, or it might have been late last week, where he landed that huge punt at that new wave pool where there's a fair bit of content coming out of now. And when I saw that and I said, oh, who the fuck's this? and I didn't really recognise the name, I was instantly like, well, fucking hats off to you. If you're doing shit like that and we don't really know, the ins and outs of this surfer, then I fucking froth that. Everyone loves the underdog, so he is the surfer of the week for both of us, eh?
For sure, yeah. Look, that air that we shared on our story that he did, I think you posted it saying, "Is this the best air ever done?" It's right up there. I haven't really seen anything like that before. Ian Crane does a version of it. There's a couple other guys, but that's the best one I think I've seen of that air. What grab is that he's doing?
I'd have to refresh my memory. I haven't seen it in like a day. I watched it about 1,000 times, but you've always got to give the nod to in the wild airs.
Yeah.
I just feel like you have to, like morally.
Yeah.
But that one was so fucking high. Like it was so high. And there was no like landed in the wash. There's a few clips that come out of wave pools where they do something fucking crazy, but they kind of land in the wash and like half right out. This was textbook landing, textbook grab. There was not a water droplet out of place. It just felt like it was fucking on Kelly Slater Pro Surfer when you're trying to jump the pier. It just felt and looked fucking insane.
It was nuts. It was I think it was back. So his backhand on the back rail. So is that Stalefish?
Stalefish, yeah. I guess that's a Stalefish.
I think it was, but it's just a crazy it's almost counterintuitive, that rotation, putting your hand back there, but then rotating the other way. It's such a difficult move to do. Not that I'm an aficionado of grabs or airs of that matter. You're more sort of qualified to talk on that. Stalefish in general, just it seems to be on not only like free surfing parts, but like in competitions. As soon as someone does a Stalefish, it generally gets rewarded well. And that was a very good example of one of those with the full rotation air reverse as well.
Yep, I think hats off to anyone doing a Stalefish. One of the more technical grabs and very awkward grab to get. If you miss it, the air's over. Like you can kind of recover from an indie grab or a double grab if you get like weird positioning, but a stale, you need to get the best contact on that thing. So hats off to you, sir. Well done.
Yeah.
However you say your fucking name.
Well, yeah, look, that's Cal Costa, Surfer of the Week. We were going to run with that pronunciation because it sounded good. Now we're going to go into the comp side of things. So we're going to do a little wrap up of the rankings after the first two legs of the tour. Straight into the top 5 on the men's and ladies. So on the ladies, first through to 5th, you've got Katie Simmers, Molly Picklum, Tyler Wright, Caroline Marks, Sawyer Lindblad, who's a rookie, which is, when I was going through that yesterday, actually impressed me a little bit. I didn't realize she was that far up the rankings. And then into the men's top 5, Italo in at first, Barron, Miguel, Ethan, and Leo. So a pretty different looking top 5 to what we've been accustomed to in previous years. It's obviously only 2 events, so you don't have a massive sample size to pull from there. It's just these guys either maybe they are the informed surfers this year and we're not sure yet, or they've just had 2 really good results to begin with. What are your thoughts on those 2 top 5s? I mean, the ladies is a bit more speaks for itself. You can kind of expect that, but with the men's, like few different names scattered in there.
I think ladies top 3. I don't think that'll change for the remainder of the year. I'm just going to throw it out there in the wind.
Yep.
But I think complete opposite on the men's. I just don't even think that top 5 by the end of the cut. I reckon Italo will be in there and that's it.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry, Ethan's in there, so I would say Ethan and Italo are your sure things. Barron's been here before. I really hope he pulls through. I think the video clips that he puts out in every 1 foot wave to 10 foot wave is fucking insane. So he deserves to stay there, but he's been there before and it slips away. He gets that really good result early, obviously in his backyard, and then kind of finds it hard to keep that traction up. But I really hope he stays. But yeah, I'm just going to say Italo and Ethan most likely will remain. The rest, I don't think, if I was a betting man, are going to stick around. But for the ladies, I think that's pretty much going to stay. Maybe not Sawyer, but good on her for being there now.
For sure. Oh, it's a great start to the year for her. Then I kind of went down into the mid-range and had a look, and a couple of people that I sort of picked out that would be super happy with their starts. Joel Vaughan in 11th and Jackson Bunch in at 12th, both rookies. That's a really good start to the year for them. Both probably, like, Pipe's obviously a really difficult wave for rookies in general. Jackson Bunch has grown up in Hawaii, so he's kind of used to that. But Joel, he wouldn't have surfed there heaps before, or even he may have surfed there, but he may not have necessarily had waves there before. So both of them straight away in with a really good shot at making the cut. And then you've got Lakey and Vaheen in 7th and 8th on the ladies' side. I thought they'd both be pretty happy with that. The ladies' side of the tour is quite difficult to requalify on, just because it's so bunched up. So you get off to a slow start, you're right behind the 8 ball, and that kind of shows with a couple of the next lot who are down the bottom, Tatiana and Betty Lou in 14th and 15th. Now, two people that I would have thought would have been up more towards the top 5 or in the top 5. Both of them found themselves with two really poor events to start the year. So they're looking to get the year going. And then on the men's side of things, Cole Hauschman, 2/17ths to start the year. And a really unfortunate one, Ryan Callanan. Now, he's in 25th. Both of them are in equal 25th. He's had two poor results, but he's also just pulled out of this event injured. And as we found out the other day when we were going and doing our calendar, all these events are so bunched together. So any injuries now, it may not just be a one event injury. It could be multiple.
Yep. And we've already got Gabby out. Depending on how the severity of Arkal's injuries, there's your two wild cards for next year. Probably gone. So there is zero room for anyone else, because they're both high caliber as well. Like, you could almost guarantee Gabby's getting one next year. Arkal, I would think he wouldn't be counting his chickens just yet.
Well, there's only one. It's only one injury. So Gabby undoubtedly gets that. And then Arkal might find himself needing a few results back in the year. They have one injury and they have one WSL wildcard, which they technically could give to Arkal, just based on services to surfing, I guess. He hasn't really accomplished much in his career as of yet in terms of results-wise and titles-wise. Obviously an amazing surfer in his own right, but the WSL, that's up to their own discretion, so they could give that to whoever they want, basically. Hopefully it goes to Arkal. There's another surfer, Crosby Colapinto, who's just returned. He, in previous years, had Gabby not have been injured, he may have been sort of a bit more entitled to sit out for a few more events and take that wild card. But when you have a multiple world champ injured and you also have an injury, it becomes quite difficult for you to get given that wild card. So he's had to come back. Arkal will be rushing to get back, you'd hope, like very quickly, because there's dead set, like between each event window, there's about 3 days for the next 4 events.
Yeah, and those 3 days aren't sitting on the beach surfing waves. They're on planes getting stuck in traffic, so it's definitely tight.
For sure. And then
Speaking to jump in, speaking of wildcards, just announced today, Julian Wilson gets the wildcard for the Changa series.
Yeah.
That's fucking huge. I don't know how I feel about this one, Finley.
Look, he's probably got the weight of runs required to pull off something like this, but it's for other crew, like, it's a bit unfortunate just seeing him skip the queue and jump straight back on the Challenger. How he'll go, I'm not sure. Like, he's been out of the scene for a little bit. We did see him at Kira last week packing a few, but as it's sort of well documented, the Challenger series isn't exactly known for sort of chuffing right hand points. It's more beachies, which he's good at too, but he's a bit older now, not the Julian Wilson of old. So we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, I think it's just the way he finished. Like, he went out with his head held high. He had a good career. He's moved on to his own projects. He's well established. He's obviously got coin. He was in the golden era of the surf age. it kind of breaks my heart that he's gonna take a spot from a young lad trying to, working as a lifeguard or whatever they're doing, a chippy or something. Like truly Aussie grit, fucking working hard, and then there's not many spots, especially out of each region. So I'm not sure whose spot that takes, but I don't know. Just for me, I was like, look, I'm nothing against Jules. He fucking rips and great bloke. It's just when you go to these events like Challenger Series, I'm at a QS now, and you just see young guys trying to have a crack. They're out of school. They don't know what the fuck they want to do with their life. So I don't know. Just kind of, I see it, but I don't see it. I'm on the fence.
Yeah, nah, fair. Well, again, I sort of emphasised it before. He's got the way to run, so I think he's probably deserved to be back there. But I can see exactly where you're coming from too.
Like, to be honest, he could have just said, hey, look, thanks for the offer, but I'm just going to go down to Phillip Island. And if he smokes everyone, well, he's going to qualify. Like, that's the thing. He only needed to do 3 or 4 events here in Oz or Australasia. And if he smoked everyone, I'd be like, well, fuck, he deserves to be there. But to trying to jump that, I don't know. I just think he should have just gone, fuck, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, fair. Okay. We're going to Portugal now. So the next
Portugal!
the event 3 of the year. I'm excited. You're also excited. You commented on the time zone though. We operate on different schedules. I'm a night owl. You're not so much. I actually think this is an unreal sort of viewing time to watch pro surfing. You finish work in the Arvo, have dinner or whatever, and then just sit down and just watch surfing all night. You, on the other hand, go to bed with Big Dog. So why you don't think this is a good viewing time, do you?
Nah, I don't. Sorry, I just started the car, so if you hear any beeping, let me know. I was starting to suffocate like an infant locked in the car. I go to bed at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I'll be sitting there and then just start nodding away and off I go. So for me, it's an awful time zone. You only get probably 2 heats in the morning, and periodically the first 2 heats of the morning are absolutely dog shit because it's foggy or it goes on hold. So I'm going to get to see fuck all of this event, really. Not in real time, that is. I'll obviously watch the highlights, but yeah, for our fans out there, they pretty much go to sleep, give or take, depending when you obviously go to bed. They go to sleep when we wake up and vice versa.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of how it works, which, like I said before, is great for me because I'll generally be hitting the sack at sort of midnight. So for me, I'm watching pretty much all of the first round. It's going to be great. You've got a couple of Zach's facts about Portugal. Hit us. What have you got?
Yep. Bit of rapid fire. It's the oldest country in Europe, which means absolutely nothing to me, but I thought I'd throw that in there for all the historians out there. Largest producer of cork. Cork being like in the top of bottles of wine. I'm guessing that's probably where it's going. Mm-hmm. If I talk out of my absolute arse there. And it is the sunniest capital in the world. So if you're booking a Euro trip with your missus, go to Lisbon, go to Portugal, you're going to get a lot of sunshine. 230 days or something like that off the top of my head of pure sunshine. So pretty beautiful city. Have you been to Portugal?
I've been to Peniche, been to Portugal.
Peniche.
Yeah, we went, and for those out there, we'll get into sort of the backup venues for this event shortly. We went to Peniche. Now, out of season, I didn't take a surfboard, but knew of some pretty good hire joints around there, so I wasn't too spewing. I knew we'd find a surfboard while we were there. Rocked up on the beach at Super Tubos, expecting to see something. I don't know if the viewers, obviously a few of them will, the local ones will be. We've got a lake in Lennox called Lake Ainsworth, which, given the name, is dead flat. That is pretty much what we saw when we rolled down on the beach at Super Tubos. I've actually never seen an ocean so flat. It was lapping on the shore, so we kind of blew it off for a couple of days. Didn't surf, only to find out that the back beach, Balil, had been pretty sick for the entire time we were there, and also Nazare, which we've touched on before, being a venue for big wave surfing. It is a very, very good small wave beachy when it's not 100 foot.
Do you I'm trying to put two and two together and be respectful here. Did you check a boat harbour and you thought that was the wave? Is that what happened?
No. We checked Super Boss. We just
Oh, thank God. I thought you went to Portugal and looked at a fucking boat harbour and went, this joint sucks.
no.
And then it's like equivalent for them coming to Lake Ainsworth and being like, North Wall sucks.
No, we did check. We did check Super Boss, and it was flat. I even stood like where the event setup normally goes, and I was like looking out, going, doesn't usually look like this when the event's on. It's usually 100 foot. So yeah, it kind of just blew it off. Balial or Balial though, which is it's sort of like a peninsula. So the backside of that was 4 foot and offshore, and we had no idea. So we found out on the second last day we were there, I think. Managed to get A surf in. It was not that good at that point, and I also heard Nazare was really fun too. So it kind of blew that. But
Well,
you've also been to Portugal. You got a bit of a story about what happened while you were there.
yeah, I was about to jump in there and say I think I can one-up you there, which is, in this case, you don't want to be the winner of this competition, one-upping someone in a bad story. Yeah, me and the missus went in 2018 and we stayed in Lisbon and then we went to Cascais for a couple of nights. On our last night in Lisbon, we were in the heart, down near like the centre of Lisbon there. And we were in an Airbnb on the second story. That night, I got really bad food poisoning and started vomiting, and you know it comes with food poisoning as well. Vomiting plus, we'll just call it. And I was up and down all night, like from the dunny to the toilet, and I had my backpack next to me with my passport and everything in the bedroom, probably like half a metre from my head on my pillow. Woke up that morning and I was like, all right, let's go out, let's go enjoy the day, and went to get my backpack and it was gone. And I was like, sweet, I must have moved it. Went, checked everywhere, checked every nook and cranny of the house, couldn't find it. And that's when I saw that my jacket was on the ground, all the cupboards were open in the kitchen, and I looked at my misso and just went, oh, we've been robbed. We've been robbed, that's why we can't find it. Turns out they parked a car and they climbed up on the car. This is what we think. It was the only way into the apartment without going through a locked door. And they've climbed up onto the balcony and come in through that way because it was really hot, so I left those slightly cracked. So we lost our passport, wallets. Gabby lost her wallet. I lost the only thing you don't want to lose overseas, which is a passport, which is just a fucking nightmare. Camera, cash, books, just everything you got in your bag, like laptop charger and shit like that. Had to go to the police station the next day, all sad. Went down, took a statement, and the tourist police was writing it all down. He's like, oh, did you have a Rolex stolen? And I was like, no, mate, like, I'm not in the mood for, like, jokes. I've just been robbed. I'm stuck in a country, like, effectively. And he kept going, oh, Rolex, like, 5 times. And I'm like, no. Anyway, he goes, all right, we're going to go fingerprint the joint. Come with us. We're in a cop car, like this little, like, hatchback cop car. Lights and sirens going. Me and Gabby in the back with 3 other cops, 2 cops in the front. Overloaded the car, going down cobblestone streets, doing about 80 k's an hour. It felt like the rally. And then they fingerprinted our house, and it was like a full investigation, like out of CSI or some shit. But yeah, that's the extent of the story. Got robbed in Lisbon, had to spend a day in and around the embassy. Got an emergency passport, and the rest is history. And I'm probably not allowed back into Portugal because someone's probably made a fake identity, and I'm probably the most wanted man ever.
Back to the Rolex. Maybe a good idea to say you did lose a Rolex. Maybe they'd had a Rolex handed in and you just turned down a free Rolex, mate.
So turns out he was hinting, he was actually, and now in hindsight, when you've been robbed, you don't think about this shit. You just want to get this whole process over with because it's a 2-day process, police reports and things like that. Turns out the insurance company, whatever was in that document was covered. So that's why I'm sure this has happened a lot in Lisbon with tourists. And he says they saw that you had blonde hair, blue eyes, and you were young and speak English, like they're coming after you for that shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, mate, we're doing a police report every day. At the time, I didn't take advantage. I was a good citizen. But yeah, it turns out everything to the nearest dollar was then paid back. So yeah, he was trying to help me out. But it was a bit awkward. We had to list everything. And I had the book by Mark Manson.
Yes.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. try explaining that with a bit of a language barrier. I was like, the subtle art of not giving a fuck. And he's like, is that a book title or are you telling me to fuck off? And I was like, oh, I ended up going, mate, just fucking leave it. Don't even worry about it. And Gabby's bag was a status anxiety bag.
Okay.
And he's like, what is status anxiety? And that was an ordeal, so we left that one off there as well. So yeah,
Fair.
It was a shit few days, but yeah. Other than that, when we went elsewhere in Portugal, fucking loved it. Best country ever. Portuguese tarts all round.
Yeah, beautiful. Look, it's a great place. The forecast heading into this, it's looking mixed. Looks small and clean at times, but then when the swell kicks in, it seems to go pretty hooking onshore, which not ideal. We've seen in the past, Cal Robbo with like probably the best 10 ever seen at Super Tubos. That day, aside from that, it was awful viewing. There was pretty much nothing else went down. It's just that one highlight from the day. It can be a sort of 10s or 2s setup in Peniche. Hoping this year it goes good for him. Like, I mean, it does look small and they might get a few days early. And then on the big days, maybe Balliol. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think there's days in there where Surfline allegedly says that it's going to be good, and then there's obviously days where it's shit. So they're going to be super selective. I think what we're going to see is a pretty long event, as in they're going to run for 2 days, go on hold for 2 days, run for a day, go on hold for a day, yada, yada, yada. I think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, if it's good viewing, fuck, such a good wave. So I don't know. Hopefully it turns on for us, but it's not looking amazing, so we'll have to wait and see.
And it's been sort of well documented. We're not great at forecasting, so there's every chance it pumps. But from what we're seeing right now, it doesn't look amazing. Who's in and who's out? So we got Crosby back, which is exciting. I've kind of missed him this year. He's a really sort of interesting surfer to watch. He's probably not as hi-fi as his brother, but his turns are every bit as good, if not better, than Griffin's. His style's amazing, and he's someone that I think could really get a result here, which he needs.
I think, yeah, you've hit the nail on the head almost. I think I actually see Crosby and Griffin on similar playing fields. I think Crosby's probably got him on the rail game, in my opinion.
I agree.
That's a huge call, but Griff has the whole bag of tricks. He's got everything covered from on face to off face, which I feel like Crosby might need to start utilising a bit more. I feel like Crosby's surfing isn't aligned with his results. I think his results are falling behind. I honestly think if you went back over the last few years, I would have put him higher up in everything, but he's just not really found that groove yet. But yeah, I'm stoked to see him back. He was in my pick for the previous event. Obviously, that happened at Pipe, so I had to take him out. So I think he's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, and we saw that with Griff. Griff took a little bit of time to get going when he qualified. I think we should allow Crosby the same. I think he's going to be a stalwart of the tour. I think he's going to be there for many years. So hopefully he can kick it off here with a bang and get himself a bit closer to re-qualifying. Gatien Delahaye, do you know much about him?
I don't know, but I did just see Stab put out a clip of him surfing in, it looked like Maui, I'm guessing. Fucking ripping, so could do some damage. I don't know though. I just feel like these guys are just so fucking good at surfing that wave. It's going to be hard. I know he's, ripping as well, but I don't know. These two wild cards, I just don't see them doing too well in my honest opinion.
Yeah. So, and that leads us into, well, there's actually a couple of wild cards, like including Ian Gentile, who's sort of just retaining his sort of injury wild card status into this event. So we don't really need to touch on him, but Freddie Marias is back off a pretty serious ankle injury. He sort of did a bit of a number on himself last year, and I don't know if he's had an event back yet. He might have done a QS or something, but good to see him back. And then we've also got Jorgen cruising it. Now
Jorgen cruising it.
he just won Morocco. He beat Ramsey Buchheim in the final, which is no easy feat to do. Went pretty pretty out of body in that one. Like, needed a massive score at the end of the heat, needed over a 9, and he got a wave and he actually did it all on turns, didn't do an air, just hammered the thing all the way down the line. So he's been rewarded for his efforts there. Again, you sort of touched on it before with the wildcards. Don't really see him going too well in this event. But an interesting story from that event in Morocco. Now, few people might remember Vasco Ribeiro, full QS battler, been there on the tour for God knows how long, like over a decade. He actually copped a pretty significant ban about 3 years ago. Bit of drug use. I think he was meant to get.
I don't know if we can say drug use.
Well, look, he refused a drug test. He's
There's
later come out and admitted that he was taking drugs, so we kind of can. But he what confused me with this, Zach, and look, I don't claim to be a genius of any sort. Now, a 3-year ban for refusing the drug test and then later coming out and saying you would have failed that drug test, or a 3-month ban for taking the drug test and failing. What would you pick?
It's silly, isn't it? That's silly.
Look, I mean, for him, it's more silly on his part because I feel like unless he didn't know that was the case, but basically just went, I'm not taking the drug test, which he's more than within his rights to do. But then probably finding out later, I'm assuming, because it seems like a pretty crazy thing to do, and then just come out and admit that you were taking drugs. To cop the 3-year ban is pretty heavy. And then this was going to be his return event, the one at Morocco. So he rolled up on the beach there, and the WSL basically said you can't do it. He got clearance from ISA, but not from the WSL, I think was the case.
Vice versa.
Yeah, so he basically just got told you can't do it. I think the WSL may have covered his travel, which is good of him for getting there. But
Yeah, I Stab, again, don't want to leech off the back of Stab here. They did a pretty good coverage on it, so if we butcher this story, just go over there. But yeah, ISA, because they're tied to the Olympic Committee, and the Olympic Committee has a strict no drug policy, they were the ones putting all these bans in, and they had no wiggle room, whereas WSL were kind of like, look, we don't really give a fuck, he's going to surf. ISA overruled that and said that you cannot allow it to happen, and WSL, because they knew he entered and actually allowed him to enter a heat draw, were then liable to repatriate him back to his home state.
Okay. Well, as long as they looked after him, because that would have been pretty, like for him, spending a few years out in the wilderness, not being able to compete, and then sort of setting your sights on this and getting to the beach and not getting to surf would have been pretty disappointing for him. He's an amazing surfer. He's just had a bit of a bad run. I think with drug use in the past. So fingers crossed he's all good now and he can get back into it and hopefully get himself on tour, because he's a full battler. Like, he's been doing it for ages. So it would be good to see him get up there. He may have even been there before, or he's definitely had wild cards, I think. So it would be sick for him to sort of have a full comeback story and make it back on. And then into the ladies, there's only one wild card on the ladies' side. That's Yolanda Hopkins.
Best name ever. Love
Great. What do you know anything about her?
I don't know donuts about her, mate. Yeah. Nothing.
Okay. No, well, she's in the event. I don't think she's gonna trouble too much. I think
Yolanda.
Yeah, fully. And then who's out? We got Arkell and Medina remains on the sidelines, as we've already touched on. We'll go into our winners and dark horses. Zach, who is your ladies and men's dark horse?
Ladies and men dark horse. I went with. Now you're gonna have to remind me. Did I go Betty Lou or? I went Betty Lou.
You went Betty Lou, yeah.
I went Betty Lou for the dark horse on the women's.
Yeah.
She rips, and she's just been trailing behind, so I feel like at some point it has to come through. A bit of the reverse psychology on what you were talking about. Toledo went all fucking statistics on me and said he's going to pull through, and he went dog shit at the wave pool, so I'm going to apply that same method of thinking here. She's been trailing behind a bit, hasn't really had, like, she kind of hit the world by storm and now hasn't really backed that up, and I feel like that's coming just through experience. So I'm going to start backing her a bit more, I feel. So yeah, Betty Lou for the dark horse. And then for the win, I've got Erin Brooks. Almost the same, but not as extreme. The first 2 events of the year, she hasn't had the results she's wanted. So I feel like that one's going to come through.
Cool. So I'll do my dark horse and my winner then. My dark horse for this event is I've gone Joanne Defay. She's right down the bottom of the rankings. She actually won this event last year, so kind of
This is
is.
sounding a little bit like the Felipe thing. Like,
No,
won
it's
it
not.
last year,
She's not a
gonna win
noted.
again.
She's just down the bottom. So I think, look, she's due a result. I guess she won last year. I think she's not a bad tip for a dark horse. I don't have her winning the event, mind you. I've got someone else winning the event. My event winner is Erin Brooks. So I don't think I'm just going to stay on the cart. Like, I've been riding the Erin Brooks cart for 3 events now. If I jump off now, she will win.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I'm
I
just
get
going to
that.
keep going. She's going to win an event sooner or later. So I'm just going to be, if you throw shit at a wall enough, something's going to stick, you know?
Yep. No, I back it.
So,
Um, for the
men's.
men's,
Yeah.
I've got Ethan Ewing taking the win.
What do you reckon about, like, I mean, we've spoken about it at length, but grew up in North Stratty, so can surf a beachy. Probably not a noted Super Tubos surfer, but did I think make the semis or the final even last year. So he's kind of gotten to the point now in his career where you can't really ride him off anywhere because he's just so
Yep.
bloody good. It doesn't
Yep.
matter what the waves are like, where you are in the world. He's just going to show up. He's going to surf good, and if he wins the event, he's probably not going to surprise too many people.
100%. He's starting to feel like that Mick Fanning where he's just a sure thing. So I've thrown him in for the win. My dark horse is Joel Vaughan. I think this wave suits him to a T. Probably one of the better ones on tour for him. I reckon he's excited to be there. He's already there. He's already spending, I think he's there like 7 days early. So a good sign to just say, hey, look, let's go over early and go get our feet in the sand. So I've got Joel Vaughan as the dark horse.
Sick. I'll go straight into mine then. So my dark horse, I've thrown Crosby in. I'm backing him for a good result here. I think he deserves it. He had a pretty crook start to the year with that injury. Really needs to get going. The beautiful thing right now about the cut is because they've extended it, you do actually have a bit more time to get yourself into a competitive situation in terms of re-qualifying. In the past, there was only sort of 5 events. So if you miss 2, you're pretty well no hope. Whereas now he's missed 2. He's still at a disadvantage, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's a type of surfer who can bank a few big results and get himself back in there. I think he can start that here. So I'm going to throw Crosby in. And then my men's winner. Now, this man has won this event the same amount of times as Kai Otten, which is 1, but it surprised me because I thought it may have been more than that. Philippe Toledo. I was shocked that he'd only won this event once. So
Mate, you got to get off the fucking Toledo program.
nah. Well, I'm backing him for a mega result here. I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna win. So that's enough said there, really. But if not, I don't think he's losing before the semis. I think he's right in the mix.
Well, now that I've said that comment, it's definitely going to bite me in the ass. He's going to fucking win and some. But yeah, it's a good safe bet. I'm not going to challenge that. He fucking rips. There's questions about his fitness and performance after that last event, but he's still looking good in my eyes.
Yeah. Hopefully, no cameraman to run over here. And then with that, we'll go straight into the fantasy. Have you got your fantasy team sitting there?
I'll bring it up for us.
While you're doing that, I'll just do a little recap of the overall rankings in the hotly contested.
Oh, you don't have to. You can leave me out. You can go through everyone else, but yeah.
I actually wasn't going to. I'm just going to do sort of top 5.
Perfect.
Which I'm not in, mind you. So I'm not even giving myself a plug here. In 5th place, Tully McLean. In 4th place, Paul Southern. 3rd is Bowie. 2nd is Taj Healy. And then 1st is Andy Irvine, who everyone's chasing down. He won both of the events fantasy-wise. So he's gone 2 for 2 so far. Still plenty of room to get yourself up the rankings. It's as we've touched on previously, each event it's sort of like you get more and more rewarded throughout the year. So we're onto 1.2 multiplier. So you get a few more little points for your efforts here. So stay in the mix. Zach, who's in your team?
All right, I'm just going to run through all the women first.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
tier A, again, you can only choose three in the tier A, which is a bit weird in my opinion. Katie Simmers, I've got there. Erin Brooks and Sawyer Lindblad, I've thrown in. You're gonna love my dark horse, and I didn't put her in as my official dark horse, but a little bit of a secondary dark horse here, Sally Fitzgibbons. I don't know. I've just got this weird feeling that she might get a quarter or something like that.
Yeah, cool. I look, I won't say anything against it because it's Sal. She's shown she can do it before. Who's your times two on?
Times two is on Erin Brooks. I'm pretty fucking confident on this one.
Yeah, yeah.
If I had more than $1 to my name, I'd probably put the dollar on it, but I don't. I'm broke.
Okay. Well, mine's very similar to yours. So I've got Katie Simmers with the times two. As my tier A. Erin Brooks with the times two, as do you. And then I've got Caroline Marks in my tier B with Erin, and then Betty Lou as my tier C, who your dark horse. I know I picked Joanne as my dark horse, but I actually think Betty Lou probably will do better. I just don't think she's got the runs on the board here to actually win the thing.
Yep. Fair.
But, look, we'll see what happens there. And then we'll go into our men's. Who's in your men's?
Okay, so I have in tier A Ethan Ewing times two with the win, as previously discussed. Coming in behind him, I've got Kanoa. I just feel like Kanoa, I think I may have said it last episode, he fucking rips and just hasn't really had that result in a while. So any moment now it might pop off.
Yeah, with Kanoa as well, equipment change. He's kind of like just teasing everyone with it. It's pretty clearly JS that he's moving to.
Well, he says the ink is still wet,
Yes.
which in my opinion means I've signed.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means, like, unless there's a fucking grace period or some shit on that. I don't know. I'm calling that.
Well,
that's
like,
it.
he's probably got 30 boards made up for the next 4 legs on tour. So you'd hope the ink's dried, because JS would be pretty spewing just shaping him 30 boards if it's not the case. Did post a clip this morning. Looked all right. Not sure. Well, I guess time will be the real sort of teller of this, how it's going to go. Did look the board he rode in his clips one did look a little bit catchy. I don't know if you saw that. Again, it's all probably fairly new to him. He's going to figure it out as he goes, but didn't look as good as his sharp eyes, I didn't think. But we'll see. We'll see how he goes in this event. We'll do tier by tier. I'll go into my tier A. I've got Italo. He's won the event 2 or 3 times. Speaks for himself. Don't need to touch on him much more. And then my little handy Italian Leo. Now, whenever the forecast gets a bit tricky, I just chuck him in, and he tends to do a job for me. So I'm happy with those two. Who's your tier B?
I'm going to run through a bit of rapid fire. So our boy Conor O'Leary, he's due for a result. Just feel it. I think he's going to do pretty well there. Then I've got George Patar, Joel Vaughan, Iago Dora, who has been seen surfing without a certain sponsor on the nose.
Yes, Volcom missing quite obviously from the tip of his board. Nothing set in stone yet. We're hearing it's just there's negotiations going on currently. When it's not apparent if he's left or if he's signing with someone else. We're not sure of that yet. It's all talk. There's a bit of movement going on, as there has been for a little bit in the surf industry, and a bit of restructuring, and I guess brands sort of trying to save money essentially. So we'll see where Iago ends up, but something to keep an eye on. Also was spotted wearing a Rip Curl wetsuit. Now, it's one thing to take the sticker off your board while you're negotiating, but to wear another brand's product at the same time was a bit different for me. Like, I feel like, could it be a bit of a statement from him going, I don't want to borrow this? I'm not sure.
I see that. Let's be real. Does he have a Vulcan wetsuit there? Yeah. So I don't know. It's not really worth buying
Worth
into and
noting
taking
though.
the bait.
Worth noting though, it is a Rip Curl event, and I'm sure they probably in the athletes area they've got for people that need them wetsuits available, or if he needed to source one, they would have given him one. So just yeah, again, someone to keep an eye on. We'll see where that leads, but it doesn't look as though he's going to have a sticker on his board this event.
Hit us with your tier B.
Yeah. So my tier B, I've got Philippe, who I think is going to win the thing. He's my times 2. Yago, similar to you, Griffin, and Jiao Chianka, who surprised me. He's actually won this event before, which I completely forgot about. I think the waves were pretty solid and barreling when he won, which he's pretty good in. But yeah, pretty surprising me. I actually fully deleted that from my memory that he'd ever won this event.
Yep, fair enough. I've forgotten as well, so don't nail yourself too hard on that one.
Yeah, sweet.
Tier C for me needs rearranging because number 1 in Tier C was Arcal. So I need to go in there today or the next couple of days and find out who's going to replace him. Underneath that was Cole Hauschman.
Okay. You think he's gonna throw some water and get through some heats here?
Yeah, I think last year I just really liked the way he was surfing there. So I don't know, a bit of a dark horse almost. So I've thrown him in there.
Cool. And then my tier C, 2 guys literally right down the bottom end of the ranking. So you've got Sammy Pupo in at 32nd, and Crosby is dead last on the tour this year. Both of them, I think, are in for a big one here. So I've chucked them both in, and that's the fantasy wrap up. So hopefully, me and you can jag a result here and get ourselves up the rankings. I'm in 10th. You're in. I don't even want to look where you are.
Please don't.
Yeah. But we'll leave it there. We've done pretty well timing wise here. We were on a strict time scale. Zach's got an appointment at Urban Surf in about 7 minutes time. He has to go and check.
I do. And I haven't surfed in about 4 weeks. And it's in front of fucking all the Kiwi dudes, so I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to look like a full-blown donkey.
Coming off a snowboarding trip too, which is sort of it's underestimated how hard it is to actually surf after a snowboard trip. So it's such a different feeling. So you better do a couple of laps on the Smooth Star in the car park or something before you roll in there. But we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, Zach. Enjoy your time down there. We'll be coming back in next week. Probably, we're not sure when this event's going to finish, so it could be a wrap up of the event. It could just be us shooting the shit. But we'll be back in. We're going to say Wednesday. Hopefully, we can just start tracking these on Wednesdays. But we'll keep the socials updated with when we're dropping it. Wednesday or Thursday, we'll be back though. We'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Adios.